Hello everyone! I have surely not done this video only for a single person, have I? No, that was a joke mainly, but I really wanted to do some sort of video like this where I will explain something about programming or do something related to it. And since I have already created some sort of school game project game for school, as the name implies, I have done it also in PyGame. I thought, well, why not explain how it works? And in this I mean how PyGame works. So hello everyone, I have changed the wallpaper now because I didn't want it to have it dynamically so that it changes, it interrupts the view. I wanted it to have just be a static image that I took in Netherlands, I think, but it doesn't play here any role. It just looks awful, I mean cool. So first let's talk about PyGame in itself. Well, PyGame. What is PyGame? Because, well, you might know PyGame, what it should do approximately, but in reality, as you can see also from Wikipedia, it is a cross-platform set of Python modules designed for writing video games. In other words, it is just a library you can install that provides you a set of functions that you can use that are meant for writing video games specifically. And it includes some functions for creating a window, for rendering text, images, and playing sound, and other bunch of things you might need for creating a game in PyGame. And usually people tend to use PyGame if Python is the primary language they use, which is also why I chose it. But if you go to this page, you can see clearly they have already quick start guide for you and explain it a little, or even a lot of things. If you don't know something, because let's be clear, you can't forget that, for example, screen.fill will fill the screen. You can't forget exactly how something should be written. You can always go here into docs, so to say, and you can search for things right here, or you can click on just some useful things and they will show you, provide you with options you can choose from when you, for example, want to interact with display, and it will here say pygame display.init initialize the display module. Quit is uninitialize the display module. Get init returns true if the display module has been initialized, and of course false if not. And other sort of things like flip, update the full display surface to the screen, or update portions of the screen for server displays. You'll see that it is a great thing and you can utilize it. And docs are very powerful, especially if you start learning something. You can also check if you don't really want to read something, if you want to have something that you can watch. You can search for the Fluffy Potato. The Fluffy Potato makes great videos about all of the things too. He uses even modern GL, you might be familiar with that, you might not, and shows you different cool features that you can do with it. He even done it in VR, so that is cool. And if you want to know how specifically should structure code, you can go for game, you can go to clear code. And the thing that I followed was specifically this creating a Pokemon inspired RPG Python and PyGame. 11 hours, but you learn a lot, and you don't need to watch till the end. It's very cool. So first, what is PyGame in itself? Also, it is also a free and open source library, which means it has an open code, and which means there are other versions of it, which is PyGame Community Edition. And Community Edition is something that has more updates, since this community decides, well, we want to have those features as they aren't built there in PyGame. And this is something we will use in this case, because PyGame Community Edition tends to be also faster than the general PyGame version. So we will install it. And PyGame in itself, features that it uses, most of them came from SDL. And SDL, you might know it, you might not know it. It's actually quite popular library that has even Valve used in some of the games, and as it says, also Humble Bundle games, which I don't know at all about anything. And SDL is something that is mostly used in C, C++, and it provides you with options that you might see in PyGame. Access to audio, keyboard, mouse, joystick, and graphics hardware via OpenGL and Direct3D. What does this mean? Why did I talk about this right now? Well, that is because structure of the code in PyGame is very similar because of this to SDL. And so if you might say, I want to change to C because I want to make, for example, particle simulation, and Python isn't very efficient in that if you do a lot of mathematics, so to say. You might change to SDL and you will find it much easier than else you would have if you haven't started with PyGame. And this applies also to the other way around. If you start with SDL and now want to use PyGame because, well, you say you will better off write less code and do something faster than having more performance. That is also valid. So let's start with PyGame. We will need to install it, of course, first, and you can do that via going to PowerShell on Windows or Terminal in macOS, Linux, BSD, or whatever operating system you might have. Then we will type pip install pygame-ce. I have already installed it. If it doesn't work with pip, it means that you will need to install Python on your system. For Linux, it's much easier. You can say watch how to install it for your specific operating system. On Windows, you can just click download and I will install the version. Which version you choose doesn't really matter. You can choose the newest one. It's fine. So now, okay, we have now installed PyGame. Let's go into IDE, and IDE is just, probably you know this, but I just wanted to say it's so they will surely know. This is just application for writing code that you might know of. There are a lot of other applications you might need to know. I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can also install it, and there it is. You can install it for Mac, Linux, Windows, and you can install a bunch of different. You don't need explicitly to use this, but this is something I will use, and it will work still with choosing different one. It's okay. Now I will gonna go here, Explorer, open folder, and now we are going to go into a specific folder I might want to go into. This for me, this one, you might choose a different one, and then okay, I'm going into YouTube, and we will create a new folder. How we're gonna name this folder doesn't really matter that much, just make it so they will know later on. I will call it PyGame introduction video. Now we go into here and select folder, this folder. Okay, we are in that side, this folder. And because we are here, we will need to create a Python file where we will write our code. Before starting with any project, and since I don't know if this video will be about creating a game and will be like a series videos, or whether it will be a single video and then nothing will happen later on. Doesn't matter. If you want to create some sort of a project, you should always think about how you want to structure not only of your code to be, but also the structure of your folders. In this case, most of the time people can do it differently. Just make sure it's consistent. In our case, in my case at least, I do folder, create source folder, and inside this source folder I have everything relating to code. And here I will create inside of it main.py, because main is the main code of this application, since you might have a lot of files that for abstracting specific classes. For example, you don't want to have this function inside here, you want to create inside different folder files, so it will be easier for you to understand where certain things are and to read code easier. But well, now that we have created Python file, we need to import first PyGame. You write it with import PyGame, and voila, you have your PyGame library inside now. It says I don't have any interpreter. There isn't any problem with that. Don't mind that. So now, after we have imported it, we will need to initialize PyGame first, since it is like a framework. It has other functionalities which, to work, it needs to be initialized. So first we initialize PyGame using pygame.init, since dot means just inside of PyGame we have a function called init, we call it. Then we want to create a screen. In PyGame you create a screen. If you go here, you can go into here. PyGame.display is module to control the display window and screen. It's exactly what we need, and we need to initialize the display module first. We do it with pygame.display.init. Or we can also do it the different way, which is we can already set the mode of it. If you go here, set mode, initialize a window or screen for display. This is what we will need. Yeah, you can do it, but we will do this, and we will specify how big the screen should be. If you go here, it will write everything you should know, what flags you can use, wherever. You can even use vsync, which is cool. I haven't known till yet, but this is something I should have thought of. So let's create a window surface. Or in other words, just a regular window like this that will be there. And so create screen equals, since we might want to have it as a separate variable, so we will be able to access this screen later on. Screen equals pygame.display.set mode, and now we have two parentheses, since we want to cast in, since pygame.display set mode takes one, so to say, as tuple. Here it takes size equals, and it has inside of one thing two numbers, x and y. How big is it? For example, 4K, 2K, etc. 1280 by 720. And because this is of course all of the numbers that came to size variable, we should have it inside of a one parenthesis, so to say here. I will say 1280 by 720, which is HD. Okay, now we have the screen, and this should work. Yeah, this is how easy it is to create in Python using PyGame a window. If you now go into run, it might work, it might not work. For me, it doesn't work in VS Code. So you will go to ls list. You see now that you're inside this directory that is here, and you see we have here source. We need to go into it, cd source, like here it says. You're now inside ls. You're now here inside the source folder where main.py is, and now you can just python 3 or python, you can choose whatever you want, main.py. You can and now, oh, have you seen it? We have now a window, but it disappears. Why? Because we initialize it, but then the code just exits because there is nothing more left. It has initialized it, so yeah, this is it. We need some sort of loop so that we will have this screen for all of the time and only exit it when we want to exit it. So we need to create some sort of loop. We can do this with while, and we will create while true, so basically for eternity. It will work infinitely. And now I will just say pass, since we don't have anything that we will want to do here. Now we have a window, but oh no. Oh, it doesn't really work. It is not responding. You can close it. You can do anything. Why is it? And that's because, well, you see, closing a window or doing like anything, pressing a mouse button or pressing the keyboard is called an event. And PyGame, I mean, has also things for events. You should take events here, pygame.event, to be able to say Pygame, for example, when I press exit button, exit it. When I press on keyboard something, do something that I want you to do. In Windows, for example, by default, if the application doesn't take any events at all, doesn't process them, for example, if I click on button or if I click exit, it will say it's not responding. On macOS, I think it will even not initialize at all, since it will say automatically, since it doesn't have any events that it handles, it isn't a window. It can be. So it can't be. So we need to handle events. Handle when we press on keyboard or on mouse or exiting this, so that it will not be like this, that it is not responding. And pygame.event, it even says here, Pygame module for interacting with events and queues. And you can also get those events from the queue, and queue is just nothing more than structure, yeah, abstract data type, which is like you think about when you want to go to buy something in a shop. You have someone who is at the front, of the cashier, and then you have a queue that goes, and so the first thing that came here is the first thing that will go out. And this is something that is very important also to know, not only in PyGame, but it's also very important to know in algorithms and all of these things. So it's really cool if you know this. It's very easy also, should be, at least. Since, yeah, this is it. This is queue as if you imagine it. And this means we have some sort of like a list where every event is stored that you currently have. For example, if I at the same time press the keyboard and mouse and close button, this will store it. And with get, we can get all of the events that we have currently saved. So while true, we will want here to get events and say, if I say for you to close window, or if I say, or other things, you might experiment with that too. Then we want actually to exit it if we did it with X. So for that, this is quite easy to do also. We have seen that pygame.event.get is to get an event, but this will get the first event that has been in the queue, in the list, so to say. But we want to get every single event that we have yet. So we say for loop. For every event inside of the pygame event get, we want to check if this event type is equals to pygame.quit. And if it is so, then we say that we want to exit this loop. And well, we will now say that, for now I will say it like this, so that I will explain for you more like how it works. This is just a comment just for you to know what we are talking the now, exit the loop. So, how may you know it, which event types there are? Right here you go, event.type, and when you see, if you see here, pygame.event, this is where we were. And now you might see type. Here we have quit, we have active event, key down, key up, mouse motion, mouse button up, mouse button down. We have also this joy axis motion and so on. This is specifically for controllers. Video resize, if you have, for example, want resizing the window. User event is if you something that you can, I think, code yourself. I'm not that sure with that, but you have also other things here. And it says everything you might want to know. So use this website since it's very helpful. But now if I, for example, here say, okay, if we press on quit, I want to break, so to say, go outside of while loop. The problems with break is they will break from for loop, but I want to break from while loop. So in reality, what other people always do when, or most of the time, when they create games in PyGame, they will set a variable, for example, like running, and it will say them to true. So while running is equals to true, we will want to do this. And then if we say quit, then we want to set running to be false. And so it will check, okay, we are running the game, okay, we're running it. I have pressed and quit. It will go here for every event. It will take all events we have and then check, okay, this is the PyGame quit. Okay, running now we will set to false. And so while running isn't anymore true, so we will just exit this. In reality, in Python, you will not type while running equals to true. You can just shorten this with while running, which automatically means while running is equals to true. And with this, you might now see that if we run python main.py, we can now move this window. We can now unfocus it, and we can close the window. Amazing. Yeah, and everything works, which is cool. Now about the other things which we're gonna go through. Most of the time at the end it is the best also to add pygame.quit so that everything will safely shut down itself. Doesn't matter in our case right now, but it's just generally better also to do, and you can also see it right here if you go pygame.quit. I guess you now understand that, yeah, you can pretty much see everything here. There is a pygame quit, but why can't you find it? Okay, doesn't matter, fine. For some reason it doesn't have it here, or I didn't find it. Next thing which we will do is, of course, we will want to fill display with something. For example, you might want to not it be just a black boring display. You want to be a purple display. We can do that too. In this while loop, this is like a main loop that we have. This is really just a, I can do it like this, main loop where everything should be running, our main loop of our application. Inside of here you can now go and say, okay, I want to fill the screen, and that is why we save this as variable, since we want to access or change certain things. We want to fill our screen now with certain color. Now we can say that we will want to fill it with purple. And if we go python main.py, it doesn't work, huh? And you might now think, why doesn't it work? That's because at first we create a window that is drawing black image, so to say. And well, when you say screen.fill, this is the next frame, but you haven't actually updated the frame yet. You have an old frame, which is, for example, will be in my case, this background. New frame is this, but it hasn't changed yet to the new frame. And so when you do something like screen.fill, at the end of your main loop, at the end of it, you should have pygame.display.flip. And this pygame.flip will update to the newest context or the newest frame, so to say. And now when we run it, hey, we have a purple screen. This should be at the end, and it should be only one thing right now, yeah, at the end of the our main loop. Okay, now if we now we have only one problem which you might need to think of when you're creating such application. Right now it runs for every frame, it runs every frame as fast as possible. So because we don't say to it, hey, I want you to run 60 FPS for 60 frames per second or 120. It runs automatically at the maximum speed possible. Is this really necessary here? Not really. You can go to Task Manager, but Task Manager isn't that great. I don't know, it doesn't really show that awesomely. Okay, I'll go now to btop. Hopefully it will work. And as you might now see, Python is the language that by default runs only on one core. Which core is our PyGame on? Core 2, because it is utilized almost to 100%. That's because also I have a good CPU on this PC, but if I had worse CPU, which I have on another computer, it will have been on 100%. And this is because we are rendering our screen on the CPU side on only one core, and we are doing it the fastest we can do. So basically the CPU doesn't rest, but we don't really need to do it, and the CPU is just heating more than it should have been. And we will not still notice it. So in this case, we don't really want to have it to be at almost 80% of work. We don't need it to be like that. And so we might want to have FPS lock, so to say. You can use it here, vsync, as you might have seen. But what I also do is, for example, under screen, we'll create a clock which will automatically see how much time has passed since, just basically like a regular clock that you might know of. And then we will go pygame time module clock and initialize it. Now we have a clock. How awesome is that? And now after drawing, we say clock.tick 60. And now what it does is that it locks our frames per second to 60. If we now run this application, we will see it is the same thing, but now go to CPU. Okay, now it rests. It is around 10%. You can't even almost notice that it is this core that is running the Python. Yeah, it's not doing anything. And now let's run it one more time again. And yeah, it just sits there. And it doesn't do anything really. So this is great. This is something you should probably think about. And if you have more hertz, you can do also 144. And what is cool, you can also have then in-game settings where you will be able to change this to a specific value. If you are creating a game, usually you don't want to hard code these things. Usually you want to have a variable where you will set, for example, resolution or FPS count or limit. And this is what we will do here. We will create X resolution and Y resolution. We will do X resolution equals to 1280 and Y resolution equals to 720. Now you might say, why do I do that? Caps lock almost, and that is because it is constant. It will not change at all, and I just want to make it sure that I will see from afar, looking at the code, that this is something that will not change. This is a constant value, something like pi, for example. A pi number is something that doesn't change at all, and so on. It doesn't change. And the same we can do also for FPS lock, and we will set it for example, 244. And now we can have this, run Python code, and now everything works. So now let's go to more interesting things. Since we are already recording 30 minutes, you might say that all of the other videos will explain it more faster. Yep, that is true. I like to go more into details where certain things are being used. I don't know if that's great or not, but that's something that I think is really cool. And other things should not be that hard too. Now we have an FPS lock and we want to make it look more interesting. We want to have a text, for example. Okay, how do you render a text? For that, PyGame, you need not only to initialize the PyGame in itself, but you need to initialize font. Now you might say, okay, well, why do we do that? And that is because by default it is not initialized. If we go to pygame.font, here Python module, Python for loading and rendering fonts, you will first need to initialize the font module. And then inside of it you can create a new font object from a file using font.font from f being capsed. So pygame.font.init, we have initialized the Pygame font, so to say, as if a framework that is needed for our font or text to appear on the screen. Now, okay, we want to add some, so to say, text. How do we do that right now? Now, after we have, what you should also think, first I'm drawing the background and then I want to draw a text. If I do the other way around, you can think of it like you are drawing in reality. You are drawing on the blank white paper the text, and then over that text you're drawing the background. If we do here, this is bad, so you will not see it at all. So here we will create it. Now I will create a small text that will be equal to, for example, no, let's just create a text that we will want to use, and this will be pygame.font.font, as the site says here, create a new font object from a file. But right now, okay, we need to create it from a file, which means we need to have font that we want to choose from. Fine, let's go and install any font we want to have. In my case, I will use pixel type. It's cool, it looks like Minecraft, so I really like it a lot. Let's download it, and let's go to our folder, PyGame introduction video, and inside source we have here, but we want to create a specific folder where we'll store each font, then images and all of that. And so here we'll create a directory that is called res, which is short for resources. Oh, I have even here an image. And inside of here, I will create fonts folder. Later on, we can also here create an images folder, and we can also create sounds folder. Let's go into fonts and save pixel type here. Now the only thing I have forgot is that it is by default in zip file, and I need to have only TTF. Okay, now we can delete this. Okay, now inside we can close this, and we will show you here. Inside resources folder, we have a fonts folder, and inside of this fonts folder, we have pixel type.ttf. You can have any font you want. And so right now, we need here to specify inside here which directory is it in, which folder is our font in. Now, on each operating system, directories or folder structured is differently. And with that, I mean only Windows compared to all of the other operating systems, which are Linux, BSD, macOS, HighOS, or any other which is Unix based. Yikes. But we want to make it so they will work automatically on Linux, on macOS, and on Windows. Of course, at least it will be better if we would do this. So we want to have OS module, which does exactly what we need. It automatically look if we have Windows, or we have, for example, Linux or any other operating system, and go, okay, the structure of this is Windows is like this: C, then backslash, and then folders. And Linux is completely differently. We have, for example, /home, / and then the username that you have, and then like this, not backslashes or anything like that. Okay, this will not work. So we do os.path.join. This will automatically now use the directory that we specify, or folder. And here we only say where is it located. From our main PyGame introduction video folder, if we close everything, we're inside here. But in reality, we're inside from source folder from main.py. You should account that because you're running from this directory. So you want to go, okay, one step before. Okay, now we are in this directory folder, which is our main folder. Then I do comma, then I do inside res folder, okay, comma, and then next, inside fonts folder, fonts, okay, and now which one do I want to choose? Of course, we have right now only one, but we need still to specify it, pixel type.ttf. Yay, and that's it. Now we have a text, but wait, we want to render it. We don't only want to say this is the font that you need to use, so we'll tell it this is text font. We want to render it, so text will be equal to text font dot render, and now we type whatever we want. You can also find this here, but you probably already guessed that. So we type the render, then we can type here, for example, hello world, not question mark, but yeah. Then we use true for the, we need to see that. I have already forget why do I do this. Font, render. And when you render it, you have text, anti-alias. And anti-alias is better not to use if you have pixelated fonts, because anti-aliasing just gets rid of those sharp edges, so to say. And so I will set this to false in my case. You might want to have it to true. And then we want to specify colors. Okay, I will set it here. 255, 255, 255, 1. This is RGBA. And so here we want to specify R. This is this, which stands for red. Then we have G, stands for green. Then B for blue, and A, which is alpha. 255 is maximum. Alpha just stands for transparency. 0 is you will not see it at all. one is not transparent, so solid color, so to say, and 100%. Okay, now we have text that should be rendered. And now we should say PyGame render, show this on our display. Which display do we want to choose from? And now you say, okay, I want to render this on this screen, screen.blit, so to say, render it to this or draw it on this screen. And I will say, I want to render text and on this on this positions. Oh, 100. Okay, now we save this and then we can go and say, okay, let's run this. Yay, we have hello world. I think this is a little bit too small, so you will not be able to see. Since I forgot here, you can also specify here. And it will be the size of 25. Yep, it is. Now we can make it 100, of course. Hey, it works. Let's try to enable the anti-alias and see what it will be. Oh. Hey, it works. Both works. Both is something you will not notice, so let's leave it like that. Okay, we have it. That's great. But what you might see, people will not really love to have this something like this, since for each time you want to draw a text, you will need to specify or hard code the positions, and you might want to change them later on. How do you do this with this like size and then the positions of it, which is here by 100? And if you want to have then collision check, for example, if you want to show, okay, if I'm hovered the mouse on this, then do that sort of thing, we need to create for it a rectangle. A rectangle is something like you might know already. This is like a hitbox in Minecraft. This is something I could show you pretty easily. Hitbox, Minecraft. This is just like this rectangle, and when you go onto it, then it means you have pressed this. And this is the same, basically. You can think of it like this. And then we will need to, okay, we initialize the font. We say it to be rendered, and then we can also say text surface. This will be text surface actually. Now, since we want to create a rectangle, we will give this text surface rect equals to text surface dot get rectangle. It will automatically see how big the text is, and it will automatically draw as if this like hitbox or this rectangle to it, and you will be able to easily, for example, say that if I hover onto text, okay, right now it will not work, but if you will hover on the text, then it will do something. You can check, for example, for collisions with that. Okay, and then we will say text surface rectangle dot center if you want to center it, and the position will be our X resolution divided by 2 and Y resolution divided by 2, where I use 2 divisions so that it will be not, for example, 5,53 blah, 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 but it will be just not a float, it will be an integer, one number without any of after this. So Python made the pie, it will not work since I am not using it completely right. Then you can say, okay, I don't need this anymore, since we have declared what its position, so to say, inside of here, and with center is sort of like an anchor. And then we will blit the text. We will blit the text surface, and then this is the text that we want to draw, and the position is of course the rectangle, which is text surface rect. You don't need to specify here now center, because, well, if I now go to the Obsidian, because what you can see here, for example, we say this is our text. Okay, we have now a text, and by default you can see this is a box that it will create automatically around it. This is our box. You can see then much easier where collision starts. This is like all applications do. For example, if I collide with the box, Okay, now I can do something with it. Outside of it, I can't do anything. And what we do here is we say where this position is. Okay, X position, our whole position of the screen that we have. This, for example, our, how will I draw this? Okay, this is our screen, and we have here 280. Yep, this is, if I divide it by 2, this is 280 pixels. I divided by 2, okay, now we are by 1280 divided by 2. This is in the center. The same applies to Y value, and we place it here. But why do I say here center is because I want to place sort of say as an anchor of the center of the text surface. And that means this position that I specify here is in the center of the text. If I say here, for example, not center but top left, which I think is the default one, it'll automatically put it in here at the top left of this box. And this means that this resolution I specified will be here, and I want to put it in the center, and center for me will be right now here, says this position is now in the center. Of course our text isn't, and I want to be inside of the center, so I said, okay, this is the position I want to change, and now this center is inside of the center. Now the text is in the center. So yeah, I think I could have explained better, much better, but this is something I wanted to do. Now the video is too long about something that is quite easy, actually, but maybe I just do it more complicated than it is in reality. I just wanted to make sure that you understand completely everything, since this is something that people skip on since they think you can come up with this yourself. In reality, you learn this after you have tried and done something yourself. Okay, so now you have the text. Now really the center, since we have top left, this is exactly what I have set. And now I will place it in the center. Now it will not be like this. Now we have it in the center, since this is the center pixel we are talking about and not anymore this one. So, hey, that's cool. Now we want to draw an image, and it's already almost an hour. Yeah, it's much easier actually. I just want to explain everything, how completely everything works, so you completely understand everything, and it will be very easy for you to later on do something with it yourself. Now, okay, we want to render images. To render images should not be that hard. This is something that works kind of like text font. So we have here text, and we draw it here. Okay, you can say here, for example, fine, drawing text. Here we will start drawing image. Okay, fine, I will do this way. You can do it however you want. This is not the only right way to do it. Image equals, now we want to draw an image, of course, so our image will be pygame.image.load. And as you see, Pygame does everything: loading font, loading image. And now we specify here the same way as here, os path join, in which path we want it to be, and then we go one back from our source directory. Then we say, okay, I want to go into res folder, and then I want to go into the images folder. Okay, I'm inside of here. I don't have right now any image, so let's go here and search for catpy. Oh, catpy, cat PNG, or any other format you want. Let's choose this one. If this is a real, no, this isn't a real PNG, like always. Just find any of what you want. I don't know why I want it to be specifically one thing. So now save image as, and then of course I want to save it inside my directory. Pygame introduction video, resources, images, image test.png. Now we have installed it. And now you can, here we have images, image test png. Yep. Image test.png. Okay. We have now image loaded, and now we need to create a rectangle. Also the same way as for text, you need to have a rectangle around the image you have so that you will know the position where it should be placed. X, and epsilon values. Okay, image rectangle will be image.get rectangle. So we get the rectangle of it. PyGame does it automatically. And then we say image width, image width of it, as well as image height, will be image.getSize. Since I don't want really to declare myself how big should it be, I want it to be the same pixels amount as it is here by default. Yes, I want to be image width and image height to be the image's width and height. I don't want to change it. I want it to be proper. Now you might say, why do I need to explicitly say here image width and image height? Those both will be automatically generated here when I run this. Will generate, I mean, it will return those values and parse here, then in here inside. And we might want to do that if we'll say that the image is too big, for example, and you want to make it smaller. How do you do that? Because I can change it in width, I can change it in height, but I want it to be the same. I don't want it to be kind of weird like this, like this. I want it to be normal, just like it was before. For this, you can also create a scalar. Scalar equals, for example, 1, and this will mean that we will just want it to be the same as it is. If you want to divide by 2, you can set to 0.5 then, and if you set to 0.5 the scalar, it will mean that it will just be twice as big as it was, smaller. Twice. So yeah, now we can say, okay, I want to new width to be integer, since I don't want it to be float. I don't want it to be 5 comma something something. I want it to be just 5 regular integer, not float. I say image width times the scalar that we put here. And I want them to be equally on both sides, on width and height. That's why I put scalar, so that will be multiplied by the same value. And image height. And now you can do scaled image that we will draw is equals to PyGame transform our image, and we want to scale it. And this will be our image. Yep. And we will have a new width, a new height, and our image rectangle, this is the same as here with text, we'll put to center, since we want to have our anchor, so to say, in the center. And we will put it in the center of the screen. For now, we will see how it looks and whether we want to change it. Y resolution divided by 2. And now draw it. The same applies here. You use blit screen on our main screen. We want to blit this, and we will blit the scaled image by the image rectangle. I hope everything is right. New height is not defined, since I forgot to do it here. I always do the silly mistakes. PyGame the surface object has no attribute rectangle. Oh. Yeah. Yay! Now I want to move it on x-axis. If I want to move it on x-axis, I will just, okay. In PyGame, it works so that those coordinates are, I think, null. Let's just check that out real quick. If I put it on x on 0 for now, the coordinates, run Python main.py, you will see, yeah, this is null. This is the maximum. This is 1280 in our case. And we want to move it a little bit right now, so we will put, for example, the X resolution divided by 2 minus, for example, 200 or something like that. Now we will move it a little even more, or we can divide it by 3. Yeah, this should work. Nope. Divided by, oh, I think I do it wrong or not. 4. Yay, that works. That looks cool. And you can change now the scalar to be 0.5. So you see, when you define it like this, you need to change it only in one, only here. You don't need to change in every single image that you have the scalar. You change it here. Now it will automatically change how big it is. Now I want to be back to 1 since it looks awesome. Yeah, and this is our game. That's it. Now we can sell this game. Yeah. After we have rendered the image, we can now do the last thing which you might want to try, and it is sounds. Since you might have seen it, you might play music or anything really you might want to. And here we will now start with playing sound. Now, playing sound is actually the easiest thing to do, since you don't need to have any rectangles to set them up. You need to load it and to play it. That's everything. You don't need to change anything on it. So you do audio equals audio.pygame.mixer.sound. And this because PyGame has its own mixer, and inside of it you can say music or you can say sound, and you play sound. And I say, and this is something you can also see here. I think it should be here. No? Music? Yeah. Place on music. PyGame mixer.music. For controlling streamed audio, load a music file for playback. In our case, it isn't really a music. It is a sound. And so it has PyGame mixer.sound. Just play a regular sound. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do now. And we want to create a sound object from a file or buffer object. In our case, from file. So we want to load a sound since it is now not a music, and do it the same way as here. Load the path or directory or folder, however you want to call it. Go to back from the source. Okay, then go into res and then go into sounds. And inside of here we want then to install some sound. Res sounds, and then now we want to install some sound for here. I am gonna find some sound. This is the easiest way you can find MP3. I just don't know. We can do up. Yeah, install it. And MP3. Yep, we can call it normally, not like that. Music underscore test. And resource sounds mp3. Yep, we have installed successfully, and now I want just to play it. And to play an audio, you say audio that you have specified here. You can later on call it audio, for example up, and this is something I will probably do. Audio up equal, or however you want to call it, audio audio up dot play. Oh, what have I done? Save. Audio is not defined. And yep, I think I forgot something. Or shouldn't it be? I think I have mistyped it. Pygame.mixer.sound. I don't know why I did audio here. No file. Rest sounds. Oh, I forgot to type in here the music test.mp3. Yeah, I do always those kind of mistakes. This is not. Yeah, close it. Now you see the problem. Okay, the problem right now is this is while loop. This means every single time we draw a frame, we are drawing text, drawing image, yep, and then playing sound. And we do play sound each single frame. Because of this is something you can see here. Yeah, it's not nice to listen to. And do you mind that later on you will need to create those surfaces only single time and not each time when you're in the main loop, since it is not efficient. At the end, you should only have screen.blend inside of while loop. So this is something you should keep in mind if you might want to play with it. So yeah. Now we have play, but wait a minute. We want to have it only when we, for example, do something. In my case, I want it only when I press the button, for example, Y, which is UP. How do I do that? Remember when I said that pressing a button is an event. So we need to do it inside of events. We check for every event that we have, and we check event type. And so here we need to check if event.type, and we can do here also else if, since if I'm already quitting, I don't want to play anything. If event.type equals to PyGame dot key down, I think. We can see this here. Key PyGame dot event get events, and you can see here the information that it not only says, for example, okay, the key has been pressed, but it also stores what kind of key has been pressed. Has been modifier, something like Shift, Control, Alt, Windows key, or really it is called mod key, I think, or master key, it's something like that. Unicode and scan code is something you can use. It is to present differently keys. And so this is something we will use now. We will say if we have pressed some kind of key. Okay, inside of it we can check also if event type equals to PyGame dot. So right now we check if we have pressed Y, for example. In our case, we used if event.key is equals to PyGame.k dot underscore Y, and if so, we want to play an audio. But how do we do that? Well, probably you would want to declare the audio itself at the very top. In our case, let's get rid of that. So let's take this, copy it, and put right here. In reality, yeah, we will initialize it. What audio UP means. And now we have the folder in which it is, we have the file in itself. And now here we can just only specify this section, which is for playing sound. We can get rid of this now, and audio up.play will be now inside of here. And now if we do Python main py, yay, we have pressed on Y, and now it plays the audio. And also there are a couple things which you can probably change there in PyGame for music, sound. PyGame mixer, you can initialize, you can also give it certain arguments. For example, if you want to change here, you can change the buffer width, you can change frequency, you can change the size, channels, buffers, and all of that information, which if you know what audio in itself, how it is, that's cool. You may want to have that, you may not want to have that. It really is also dependent on what exactly you want to achieve. Yep, and now, of course, this video is already too long. In reality, if I would have said, okay, I will make next series, it should have been much faster, since I'm not sure how much do you know when you watch these videos. I might have said, okay, now probably if you're here, you know much more. You should know what how to declare functions and all of that, of course. And so I can explain less of those things, and it should be generally faster. So now we have declared here audio EP. We need now to refactor. Now remember me saying this is inefficient, because we run a while loop, and each single time we draw a frame, each single time I want to change a frame, delete this and draw a next frame, delete this and draw a next frame. Each time I want to do this, I also need to find the path. Okay, go into it, then take this music or this font, and then say how big it is, and then render it, and then get the rectangle of it, say the position, and then only split it, or in other word, to draw it. But I don't need to, since it is not changing. The value itself is not changing. So let's change it. Let's say that we will want to cut this, yeah, and we will want to place this before the main loop, the same as we did for audio, and we will only and we will only initialize it when before the main loop, one time, and then all of the things we will need to do here is only to draw it, only to draw the text. Where is it? Scaled image rectangle. Have I deleted it? I probably have. Oh, no. I can't see, help me. Cut. Here you see we draw text. It is red, marked like this, because we haven't yet put anything here. Now we say, okay, paste everything here. Now we declare the text with surfaces, with rectangle, where the position of it is, what should it write, what is the text of it. Here, we declare it here. And then we can draw it with only one thing, which is screen.blit. Yay, and the same we can do for image. Oh, I forgot to do something. We will need also to have all of this here. And in reality, now we have all of this. It doesn't really look that nice, you might say. Main code, what we do is fill the screen with purple, split the text surface, which is text, what we have here, and image. Then flip, and that's it. And this is the same thing. Yay, it works. Now, if you will want to add more text fonts, for example, more text, it will be tedious. You will have to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. So probably you might want to, you have a lot of things you can choose from. Create a class where you will create fonts, or just a single function. We can, for example, for text, we can create the create text surface. And here what we would need to do is, of course, we can say we can take the path. In reality, though, we will say the font, yeah, which font we want to have. Then we can say the size, but really, at first, I will love to have text. And then I want to have the color of it, and then I want to have the position. And in reality, I will say that I don't know if I have done that in my code. Firstly, because now, yeah, I think differently. No. So, in reality, I might want to have position here first. Position, text and position, then size, then font, no, then color. No, let's font, then size, and then color. And position just go away here, like this. This will be nice. And then we go here and say, okay, now we will go here. Oh, cool. Okay, and now we will be able to change this to be differently. We can have a different file where we, for example, will put that pixel font will be equal, in our case, let's place it where everything else is. And will be equal to this. And now you probably may understand what I'm trying to do here, which is cool, actually. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. I wanted to do it here, actually. And now we have this. Now we have pixel font. And now this is already just one thing which we need, because we don't need for each single text to create over and over again pixel type. We can just provide it here. Okay, now I have the pixel font. Yep, and this is the path of it. pixel font path, for example, and I can provide it here too. And the size of it, is it not? I can check. Then I want to provide, of course, the size of it, and the size I can declare position text. I can type like this. I will need to not forget that the size should be, I will type it for myself, size equals to 100, so it will have the same result at the end. I want also for myself to have text to be this. We'll have here. Later on, we will instead type here just text. Or we can also do, if we want to have anti-aliasing. You can change which comes first, which comes next. You can change text and size and then position and all of that. I just don't know right now how do I want to change it. Anti-aliasing equals to false. And then I will want to change the color, and the color itself is of course white. Which will be the white RGBA. Text surface rectangle, and the position position.x and the position.y. And now here we can create text surfaces. Create text and we can say text surface 1, or I don't know, let's say heading equals create text surface, which will be hello world, the same as here as it was previously. We want to have the position will be, in our case, let's just put the position at the end, since it is very big or not. Position, yeah, because I don't really know. Let's do the font first. We want to have the font pixel font path, font path, pixel font path, and now we go further with the size. The size in itself will be 100. Yep. The color will be 255, 1, which is for white, and anti-aliasing will be true, no, false, and the position will be what we had, which was x resolutions divided by 2, y resolution divided by 2. And of course, if you want to, you can also always specify text equals hello world, then for example, then font path equals, and then will maybe easier to read the code, of course. Then we have a heading, and I will heading text, since it will not change. Okay, you might leave it lowercase, doesn't matter right now since we are not dealing with something that big. I'm not sure whether it will work with XY, whether I will need to do it differently. We will see, since I have forgot myself how to do it, to be honest. Heading text. Now we have the rectangle, the text surface. Yeah, and then we need to return text surface and text surface rectangle. We can do heading text surface, heading text surface rectangle. And now we have heading text surface, heading text surface rectangle. And let's try if it works. Tuple has no attribute x. Yep, because this doesn't work that way. I'm not that sure whether it's like that. I have not worked with tuples for quite a long time. Oh, it works! And as you see, this is crazy. This is great. This is one thing you need to create, and then you can easily create second text, third text, fourth text, and you can have it inside of a different folder. For example, when you create a text file, I mean, or if you want to, you can even create a class text in itself. It will be an object. You type object smaller case, yeah. And then you will create a definition for init, initializer, and for create text surface, which you can also do and store multiple texts inside of it. Cool to do. It's not the thing I will talk about right now, since I only wanted to do a complete introduction. With this video, you can completely go off and then do whatever you want with it, with PyGame. And if you really want to, I can create a series of videos where I will start over, but I will not waste so much time on explaining every single thing. I will try to explain still everything very, very greatly, so that you will be able to understand everything, and we will create our, so to say, small game or something like that. Yeah, that will be quite cool. The same what we done here, you can also do, of course, for audio, and the same you can do for images. You can try out to do it yourself if you really want to. And the same you can do for image, of course. What we're gonna need here is less of the things. But we'll still need to have image, which we can do with image path. But since we already have set everywhere image, we will do that here too. We can also change the scalar which you want to do, and so we don't need to have each time this thingy going with us. And we might want to have the which will transform scalar, resize scalar. It will be much easier to understand what you mean by that. And we need to have the position, of course. The position, and that's it, I think. Is it not everything? So here we have everything from image, rectangle, center, yay, yep, and we can put it right here, image, and then we will be able to just create an image. But first, let's change a couple of the things. Here we have, where do we have pixel font path? Yeah, and here we can also store the image test in our case, because it's image test path equals, and then just copy this path which we have here, then place it here. And then we will say, okay, fine, now that we have a new image, we will say image path is something we will load. Why do I say here pixel font path if I specify the font path? This is something in false instead of, oh, I'm sorry, anti-aliasing and color. So now I utilize everything. I'm sorry, I haven't seen that. Image get rectangle, yep, and now instead of scalar, let's say resize scalar, and the positions, of course. Wait, I might as well copy this. Yeah, position 0, position 1. Yeah, and now let's create image test, image test, or in our case cat image surface, cat image surface rect equals. Ooh, now that I think we could also create a class where every text will be inside and it will automatically be drawn, and you can say bind or unbind what do you want to draw or what do you don't want to draw. That will be also cool, but that's something you can think of too. Create image surface, and then oh, what did I do? Cat image surface rectangle equals create image text surface. Boom, beam, bada bam. This is our position, but first we need to do everything else, which is image path, which is image test path. In our case, let's call it image cat path. I know, let's do it image test path. Yeah, since this is image test, it'll be easier to remember, but here I just say image cat image. Yeah, let's leave it like that. It doesn't really matter right now, but you might as well change it so that, you know, okay, image test. Leave it however you want. I just want to make it consistent, so it will be the same. Image test path. After path, we have also resize scalar, which is in our case the scalar we have here, but let's be real. Let's just put 1 here. And then the position. And scalar now can go away, so to say. And now we have the image, and we want to draw it, of course. Now we can go image test surface and draw it. What was the issue? Traceback line 42, which is this one. Image test surface rect, because I'm not returning anything. Yeah, that's true. Return the scaled image and return the image rectangle. Yay! We have everything. What you can also do, what I have done in my game, is you can have a list where every text will be, a specific list where every image will be, or a class will be better, where everything will be stored, and what is inside of that will be drawn. But that is something you can see or change. The same you can do now for audio. In reality, you don't really need to, since you add this line and then that's everything. So I hope that has helped you. Now if you want to, I can create a series. Well, I will create a sort of, so to say, game, a small game with PyGame. That will be really cool for me too, since I want to have more coding videos. And yeah, this video is already too long. We will see how I be able to minimize this video. Yes, make it smaller. Thanks for everyone, especially for you for watching this video. Thanks for the person that asked me if I can make the videos, and this has been already, I don't know how many months since then. But yeah, thanks everyone. I hope this has helped you. Maybe it was too much ranting. Maybe I should have done it with less time spending on stuff. If you really want to, you can also go check out the Skull Game project I have made. I will not say that it is great written or anything like that. It's just something that you can watch to see how some game may be structured, because, well, this is a big game and I have like 3,000 lines of code, and there isn't that many games that have been created completely with PyGame only and have been published. So you can see that if you want to. So bye, thanks. Thank you for watching this video, and bye.